evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this video. Welcome to session 4 of the 10 series sessions we have going on for the mental health and well-being program for you wonderful women who are living with cancer. So I am Hannah. If this is your first time meeting me, it's nice to meet you all. Nice to see some familiar faces. And today's class is all on yoga for anxiety. So this class is really designed to help you get out of your mind and into your body. As we know, anxiety is very much a mind-driven condition. It is a mental illness. And so a lot of times when you're dealing with something so drastic as living with cancer, maybe you're in remission, maybe you're going through chemo, radiation, you have surgery coming up, maybe just the doctor's appointments, everything that you're going through is going to make you feel anxious. And I want you to know that is valid. Okay. If you were here for our last session, it was all on coping with anxiety. And so when we really dive deep into the different practices you can do to help you cope with your anxiety, especially on those days where it just seems like it's taking over. So that is why I designed this yoga class for all of you, so that you can do this anytime you need to get out of your head and into your body. And some of these postures that we're going to do in today's class are going to be really beneficial when you feel as if anxiety is taking over. So I will make sure to mention that when we are in those postures, so you can take that mental note, and that's something maybe you do at the doctor's office, you do before a procedure, right? Don't worry. It's okay if people look at you funny if all of a sudden you get into child's pose. Trust me, I've done it in the hospital before. And just to let everybody know for today's class, so I am healing from a surgical procedure that I had done just over a week ago. And so I didn't know until after the procedure that I have to be very careful with working out for the next few weeks. So if you notice that I get out of a posture before I tell you to switch to the next posture, it's just for my own healing, so I can make sure that my body heals properly. But that being said, I'll be sure to give tons of verbal cues. I'm still going to show you how to do the posture and make sure you're doing it correctly. But again, I just have to honor my own body. And it's a reminder to all of you to honor your bodies as well. Maybe you're watching this recently after chemo, after surgery, whatever it is, you can always pull back, right? We don't need to go to the full extent. So without further ado, make sure you have a yoga mat or a space in your house to practice. I did mention that you're going to need blocks or maybe books. If you have hardcover books, that works just as well in the place of blocks. And then a blanket for the very end of practice. We're going to stay in savasana, corpse pose, for about 5 minutes, so you can really absorb the benefits of practice. But I'm also going to end with a Soundball meditation, so that gives you a chance to enjoy that. One thing before we start, if you'd like to have music in the background, because I do have my headphones in, so you probably can't hear my music, I have included a link to a wonderful heart chakra healing frequency. Okay, so it's a really, really, really beautiful frequency to listen to help you bring in love on all forms. And so when I find that I'm feeling seriously anxious, it's a call that I need more love. Okay, so you can go ahead and just click in the chat. It'll have the YouTube link, put it on. I'm also going to have it in the email where you got this video. So be sure to play that in the background if you so please. But either way, we're going to meet on our mats in child's pose. So I'm going to give you the option today. If you need to stretch your low back, please do your child's pose with your knees closer together. If you want to stretch your hips, you can do your child's pose with your knees further apart, approximately as wide as your mat. And as we sit here, before we go any further, we ideally, in a perfect world, which it isn't, our butt will be on our heels. Again, depends on your flexibility. Do not be hard on yourself if you do not look like this, if you cannot get your butt on your heels. That's why we have a blanket, so that you can put the blanket underneath there if you need. But when you're ready, we're going to walk our hands forward so that our foreheads can come to the mat. You're just going to stay here in child's pose for the next 15 breaths. I really want you to get comfortable here in your child's pose. To start to tune into your breath, your inhales, your exhales, and how they feel in your body in this moment. Child's pose is a really, really wonderful pose to help with anxiety. When our head is below our hearts, which it is in child's pose, even if it's just slightly, signals to the body to calm down. So I like to do child's pose on the days where I know I'm going to have a busy day, when I have doctor's appointments. I'm a chronic illness warrior, so I know what it's like to be in and out of the hospital constantly. And again, who cares if people think you're weird for getting into a child's pose? If you don't want to do it on the ground, because hospitals, I know, even though they clean them lots, can seem dirty. You can always do this on the bed. You know, they give you a little area, whether in your doctor's office or whatever, there's always going to be that like medical table. I've done it on there. Okay, now I want you to walk your arms towards the left. Nothing is changing in this child's pose besides your arms. So now you should really feel this stretch into your right side body. Really take some deep inhales and exhales here, maybe sighing out the mouth on your exhale. Help you sink even deeper into the pose. Open up those pathways, those air pathways, because right now we are stretching our intercostal muscles. Those are the muscles around our ribs. Those are the muscles that help us breathe. On your next inhale, walk your arms slowly over to the right or the other side, so we can now begin to stretch the left side body. Just breathing here, really feeling this juicy stretch, stretching your intercostal muscles on the other side. Beautiful. Now walking your hands back to the middle, just taking 5 breaths here in your child's pose. Thanking yourself for showing up, for dedicating this time to your body, your mind, and your spirit. And then slowly we're going to make our way into a tabletop position. So that means our wrists are under our shoulders and our knees are under our hips. So just checking in. We're going to do some cat cows here. So on the inhale, belly's going to drop, coming into cow, looking forward. Exhale, rounding the spine, coming into your cat now. Inhale to your cow. Exhale to your cat. I want you to do 5 more on your own, following your breath. Inhaling to cow and exhaling to cat. Cat cow is another really good one. Helping with anxiety. We're actually working into our spines, which is also exercising the vagus nerve, which helps us calm down. And then we're going to meet in our cat. So rounded spine. We're going to do barrel rolls. Now I want you to watch me because, again, you don't have to look like me because it's all about how it feels. So now with your cat back, you're dropping over to your right so that you can come through you can come through your cow, you shift to the left, and then come into your cat as you round through. So you're doing these circular movements through cat and cow and these barrel rolls. And again, this doesn't have to look good, it just has to feel good. So you'll know in your body. And you can make these big or small. I like to start small and get bigger. Start to work into my joints, the wrist joints, your knees. And then once you've gone in one direction a few times, switch and go in the other direction. Combine these with cat-cow every morning. I promise your body will be so happy. It'll thank you. Okay, coming back to a neutral spine now. We're going to tuck our toes and lift our hips on our exhale, coming into a downward dog. I want you to make sure your knees are bent here in your down dog. Okay, I'm going to show you something here. So look at me. You need to drop down to look. A lot of times we think we're in down dog when we're like this, because we're like, oh my God, my legs are straight. This is amazing. No, this is not down dog. Bend those knees so you can push into your hands. Begin to straighten your upper back. So we want the upper body to be in one line, going from our fingers all the way to our hips. That's why we bend our knees, to give our hamstrings a break. So now that you're in your down dog and you know how to do it safely and in alignment, just pedal out your dog. Left heel to the mat, right heel lifts. Switching every 3 to 5 breaths. Just starting to wake up the body. Gentle stretches in the hamstrings. And then pause in stillness in your down dog. Look forward and walk your feet towards your hands. You might have to have super bent knees here. That's okay. I'm just going to come and meet in this forward fold. Take one breath here. And then exhale ever so slowly. Rolling up. Head comes up last. Beautiful. So now we are in Tadasana, mountain pose. Making sure you're close to the top of your mat. Taking a breath in mountain, standing strong. Now bring your hands to your hips. And we're going to step the right foot back, okay? Stepping the right foot back, we're going to lower that knee down. And if you need to use your hands to help you lower your knee, that's okay. So before we go any further, I want you to check in to make sure you're not dumping here. This is an active pose, so our legs are in a 90-degree right angle. And then when you feel ready, you can inhale and lift those arms overhead. We want our fingertips to be active, our hands to be active here. Breathing into your low lunge. Then bringing your hands to prayer and the back of your head. So now your fingers maybe interlace, our elbows are wide. Taking a few breaths here. And then on the exhale, twisting towards your left, right elbow to left knee. Come back up. Exhale to twist. Come back up. Exhale to twist. Come back up. One more for good luck. Beautiful. Now, bring your hands to the mat. And you can inch your right leg back a bit. So that way, your left knee starts to go over the left toe. So now we're sinking here. Not so much that you're just dumping. Still want your glutes to be active. But now we're in this runner's lunge, getting into our hip flexors. And then if you want, you can raise your hands up on your inhale, arms overhead. Interlace your fingers, index finger pointing up. And breathe here. Beautiful. I want you to stay exactly as you are for a few breaths. I just have to honor my body. I cannot stay too long in the poses. Okay, on your next exhale, bringing your hands down to frame your left foot. so that you can begin to walk that foot forward and come into a half split, okay? Half monkey, also known as. So this is where blocks will come in handy, or books, because the ground might seem far away and this might not be feeling very nice. So we use the props, whether that's blocks or books, as an extension of our limbs. That's all they are. Doesn't mean that you aren't good at yoga or that you can't do it. It just means that your body is in a different place or someone else's body, right? We honor where we're at. I haven't practiced in over a week because of my surgical procedure. So even this for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel it a lot more than usual. So we honor where we're at. Beautiful. Okay, walk that left foot back in. We're just gonna come back into a tabletop position, hands and knees pose, tuck our toes, and lift our hips to downward dog. Again, bend those knees. We wanna have bent knees in our forward folds. This is considered a forward fold to protect our hamstrings. Okay, we're gonna do the other side. So your right leg is gonna lift. You do not have to lift it very high because we're gonna step it through. So that might mean you don't need to put your foot down, but maybe you need to walk your foot a little forward to get it there. Left knee is gonna come down. We're gonna check in, hands to hips, that we got these right angles happening with our legs first. And then once we know we do, inhale, arms overhead. Now, a little trick here, if you're feeling wobbly, is to engage those inner thighs. Yes, engage the core. One thing that Aki mentioned of hope for stomach cancer is that some of you are dealing with shrinkage, where you are almost experiencing being like shrinking as in height. So engaging our cores, opening up our chest and our shoulders is so important, so you can continue to counteract some of what's going on. And so you'll notice throughout the practice that I've included these things for that reason. Okay, hands to prayer, and the back of your head. Inhale, exhale, twist. Left elbow to right knee. Twist on your exhale. Inhale to come back up. Exhale, twist. Inhale, back up. Last one. Beautiful. Now bring your hands back down to the mat so you can make sure you can walk that left knee back a little bit as the right knee starts to track over the right toes. Bring your hands to your hips. Check in, you're not dumping. Engage those glutes. And then inhale, lift those arms overhead. Interlace the fingers, index finger points to the ceiling or the sky. And breathe. You're going to hold this for 7 breaths. Continue to breathe into this posture, into your hip flexor and your hips. Beautiful. Now bring your hands to the mat to frame that right foot. And then walk that right foot forward so we can come into half split or half monkey on the other side. You have your blocks or your books near, so use them if you got them. And just breathe. When we're in this, we're imagining our left hip is coming forward as our right hip comes back, so we can continue to make sure that we're even and not dumping in one area or one side. Beautiful. Walk that foot back, coming into tabletop position, hands and knees pose, taking a breath. And then tucking the toes, and on your exhale, coming into your downward dog. Maybe pedaling it out if you need to. Taking a couple breaths here. We're actually going to take 5 breaths here. And on your last 3, I invite you to sigh out your mouth. Beautiful. Coming down into your tabletop, and then on your exhale, back into a child's pose for 2 breaths. On your inhale, coming up to tabletop, and then exhale, downward dog. We're going to hold down dog for 5 breaths again. And you decide if you need those sighs out the mouth. On your inhale, coming down into your tabletop, exhaling back to your child's pose for 2 breaths. Beautiful. Inhale, back to your tabletop. Exhale to your downward dog. 5 breaths. This is the last time we're going through this little transition back and forth here. Inhale down to your tabletop. Exhale to your child's pose. Okay, beautiful. So we're going to come back into a tabletop position here, okay? Hands and knees pose. And we're going to stay here and do a couple things, okay? So get ready. Okay. Actually, first, let's all take a sip of water. Sorry, I realized I didn't cue water. Sometimes I forget. So drink water throughout the practice as you need. It's also important when we're practicing yoga or any sport, and we take sips of water, not big gulps, because we are getting back into movements. You don't want to risk throwing up. It can happen, trust me. Okay, so in our tabletop position, we're going to be lifting the right arm in front of us and the left leg behind us. And you don't have to have them really high, okay? If this is a lot of work, go to your edge. You just want to make sure your hip's not opening, okay? Taking a few breaths here, engaging the core. And then exhale, you're going to bring elbow to knee and back out on your inhale. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale. Elbow to knee on your exhale. Last one. Beautiful. Now come back to your straight leg and arm. Then bend that left leg. And you're going to try to grab for your foot here. If you can't grab your foot, you're imagining, you're reaching for it. If you can grab hold, find your balance. And see if you can keep your chest open. Beautiful. Let that go. We're not going to hold it for too long. Wiggle it out as we go to the other side. Inhale, left arm will lift. Exhale, right leg. Again, doesn't have to be very high. Holding, breathing. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, back up. Exhale, inhale. 3, 4. Last one. Beautiful. Now straight arm, straight leg. Bend that right knee. Grab for your foot or reach for the foot. And then make sure, if you can, look forward with an open chest. Beautiful. On your exhale, let that go. Wiggle it out a little bit. And then we're going to tuck our toes once again and exhale to a down dog. Now you're going to inhale and come to plank pose. Okay. And then we're going to come over to our right side, plank on our right side, and then drop that right knee. So supported plank as we reach over, stretching the whole left side. Maybe even opening the chest to the ceiling or the sky. And then exhale, come to a tabletop position. And right back we go to downward dog on our exhale. Take 2 breaths here. And then coming into your plank on your next inhale, coming into side plank on the other side and dropping the left knee, supported side plank, reaching overhead with the right arm. Maybe even opening your chest up to the sky. Beautiful. Looking down, coming back into your tabletop position, and just sitting back onto your heels. Okay, so we are going to do a heart opener now. And this pose is known as Camel Pose. It can be pretty intense. If you have never done it before, don't do it often. So just know before we go into it, if you feel nauseous, come out, okay? It's normal to feel nauseous because your body's like, what's going on? But if you do feel nauseous, please just come out of it. Don't push yourself. If you feel emotional, you want to cry, that's okay. Let it out. You're safe. No one's watching. But this is a heart opener. So your chest is going to be very exposed. And sometimes that can bring up a lot of emotion. So we're coming up onto our knees. And we're going to bring our hands to our low back. So almost like your fingertips or your fingers, are resting more on your butt, and the palm of your hands is on the low of your back, okay? And you're imagining bringing those elbows as close together as you can. So you're squeezing those shoulder blades. Before we go any further, really push into your hips. You're going to push your hips forward. This is going to help as you move back. And so as we do this, I always say, let your eyes guide you. We move slow as we start to open our chest to the ceiling and lean ourselves backwards. Again, really pushing into the hips, engaging your glutes to protect your low back. And then if you're like, oh, I feel good, maybe reach for one ankle, half camel, or reach for the other. And only if you have this available in your practice. Otherwise, keep your hands on your back and breathe. No matter where you are, we're going to come out. So if you had your hands on your ankles, bring them to your low back. And again, you're slowly coming out of this. Your head is the last thing. Once your head comes up, you slowly sit down onto your heels, close your eyes, take a few breaths. Let all of that sink into your body, that beautiful, beautiful heart opener. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to slow it down. We're going to do some longer stretches, which are also really going to be great and beneficial for when you need to get out of your mind and into your body. So we're going to come into a butterfly pose. So bringing the soles of your feet to touch, legs are coming out into a diamond shape. And we don't really care if our feet are really close to our butt. That's not the point here. We want to be comfortable. So what I like to do is remove the flesh from my sits bones. So I'm sitting right on my sits bones. And then you have an even base. And then grabbing your feet, the soles of your feet, like you're opening them like a book, like you're about to read your feet like a book. And then on your exhale, just slowly come forward with a flat back. So you're not rounding here. You want to have as open of a chest, as flat as a back. I'll show you from this way as possible. So of course, maybe we're here. That's okay. You have to honor where your body's at. I've been practicing yoga for a very long time. When I started, I was not flexible. So I had to honor that. So wherever you are, taking 5 breaths here in your active butterfly pose. Still let your head and neck just hang out. So just let your eyes stare at your feet. And now wherever you are, allowing yourself to just fold, sink into it. You can have a rounded spine now. We're making this very passive. We're gonna hang out here for the next 10 breaths. So make sure you're comfy. If you have the space within your body, you can bring your forearms underneath your legs. You might have to inch your feet out a bit. And this will just help you sink and stay even deeper. Beautiful. Slowly make your way up and out. Take your time. There's no rush. And we're going to meet now in a side head to knee pose. So bringing your right leg out and the sole of your left foot to your right thigh, or as close as it can go. And then you're going to either use your blocks, your book if you have. But first, you're going to start by placing your right hand in front of your right calf or your right leg. And we're going to inhale and reach up and over. And this is where you decide, maybe this feels good. Maybe you can come down onto your forearm. Maybe you want the block to help support you wherever you're at. You decide. It's your practice. But wherever you are, make sure your head and neck can just hang heavy. If your forearm is on the mat, sometimes I like to bend at the elbow so I can hold my head with my hand, but you don't need to do that. And just maybe rolling out the left wrist, wiggling the left fingers. Just really stretching into the left side body once again. Slowing down the breath. And keeping yourself as you are, and then just reaching your left arm away from your body now. So now the stretch is coming down the left side of your neck, into your shoulder, your arm. Beautiful. And now I want you to use your right hand to help lift your head back up so you don't get a head rush, okay? Beautiful. Now, you're going to face your right foot. So the sole of your left foot is going to come to the mat. You're going to bring your left arm behind you, acting like a second spine as you hug your right arm around your left leg, coming into a twist here. And if you have it in you, you can slowly begin to look over the left shoulder. And on your next exhale, coming out of that, maybe counter twisting, And then letting the left knee fall back down to the mat as we face the right leg. And we're going to come into Janus Asana, head to knee pose. So walking your right hands forward, either on somewhere on your leg, or they can be beside your leg as you find your edge, the farthest you can go in the posture. And just hang out here. Let your head and neck go. They don't need to do any work. And it's okay if you're up here too. If you're like, I feel the stretch right here. Good, stay here. Go to where you can feel the stretch in your hamstring and your low back. We're going to hold this for 7 more breaths. And I invite you to exhale out the mouth at any time you feel necessary. Letting that go and slowly walking yourself back up. And we're going to do the other side. So just switch legs. Left leg now. It's going to be long as the sole of the right foot comes into the left thigh. And again, you can decide. Left hand in front of left calf, left leg. Maybe you need the block, a prop. You're going to inhale and reach the right arm overhead. It's almost like you want to grab your toes with your hand, but I know that's not always accessible. So we're imagining. Maybe start to roll out the right wrist, wiggle the fingers. Breathing into the right side body now. Again, maybe holding your head with your hand. And if your forearm doesn't reach all the way to the mat, this is where the prop or the book, whatever comes in, right? Because you can do this with the book underneath you, or the book or the block. And then on your next exhale, reach the right arm away from the body, starting to feel the stretch through your right neck, shoulder, arm. Beautiful. And then using your left hand to help bring your head back up. We don't get a head rush. Okay, now we're doing the same thing as we did the other side. So you're gonna face your left leg. So the right foot comes to the mat. Right arm is acting as a second spine. And we're hugging the left arm around the right leg as we twist to the other side. Maybe looking over the right shoulder if it is available to you. And then exhale, maybe counter twisting, and then letting that right leg fall back down. So now you're facing the left leg, hands beside, so you can walk yourself forward, find your edge. Hands can be on your body or beside, doesn't matter. But wherever you are today, let your head and neck just hang out. You don't need to do any work. So you stay here for the next 7 breaths. Again, taking those sighs on your exhales if you need, sighing out the mouth. Letting go of any stagnant energy that's stuck in the body. Beautiful. Slowly walking yourself back up. And now you're going to bring both legs long as we come down. Actually, let's bring soles of the feet to the mat as we come down onto our backs. Okay, so bringing your legs in, like hugging yourself almost. Start to just rock a little bit. Give the low back a massage, the sacrum a massage, rocking back and forth. And then bringing your knees wider, so almost like they're wanting to go towards your armpits. If this feels good, you can stay here, or you can come into happy baby. So soles of your feet are going to be reaching towards the sky as you grab for the outsides of your feet. And you can decide if you're going to stay still. I challenge you to see if you can keep your whole back on the ground. So you really want to make sure that you're, you know, like if you look at me, you can see if here my whole back is not on the ground right now. Now it is. You see that difference? So it's like bringing your butt and your sacrum down too. This requires a lot of conscious effort. Or you can rock a little bit in your happy baby. You still ideally want to have most of your back on the ground. It might raise a little bit as you rock. That's okay. And as you rock here in your happy baby, bring a smile to your face. After all, we're happy babies. And you can play with this. Maybe you try straightening your right leg, straightening your left leg, straightening both your legs. Just have fun with it. And then bring your legs down, letting go of your feet. You're going to bring your arms into a T if you have the space. I do not, so I'm going to do cactus arms. Oh my gosh, my blocks are on the way. Come on, friends, you're going to be in the way there too. Sorry, moving my blocks. Okay, so arms into you if you have the shape, if you have the room, sorry, or cactus, which means you're bending at the elbows. And we're just going to drop our legs over to the right, coming into a twist on the right side. The closer your legs are to your arm, the more intense this twist is going to be. So if you're feeling like, oh, this is hurting my back, bring your legs farther away from your arm, okay? And then looking over your left side, closing down the eyes, bringing the right hand to your belly. And just become in tune with your breath. Feeling the rise and fall of your belly. Breathing in air, reminding you you are alive. And then coming back through center, inhale, and then exhale over to the left side or the other side, if you did left already. And then checking in with your spine, finding the placement of your legs that works, however close or far away from your arms as you need. And then looking over your right shoulder, your right arm, closing down the eyes, bringing your hand to your belly. And letting that go on your inhale, coming back through center, Giving yourself one big final hug. Bring your forehead to your knees if you can. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then on your exhale, let it go and come into your final Shavasana, your corpse pose. This is a good opportunity to grab your blanket if you would like it, to just relax even further, get even more comfortable. But make sure that your feet are as wide as your mat, or at least wider than your hips. And give your arms enough space for your armpits to breathe, to take up space here. We live in a world where we've been taught as women to stay small. And I'm here to tell you, you do not need to be small. You are meant to shine your light and take up space. And how we practice that is by taking up space on our yoga mats. And in other ways, in there, other areas and ways in our lives, but we can start right here, right now. You're going to stay here for the next 3 to 5 minutes. Stay exactly as you are in your Shavasana, in your corpse pose. And I'm just going to get up so I can come closer and play my Soundball meditation for you all, while you relax and absorb all of the benefits from today's practice. Breathing, focusing on your inhales and exhales, how they ripple through your body like waves of an ocean. Allowing yourself to sink even deeper into a state of relaxation with each exhale. Know that the last 40 minutes is dedicated to you and your healing, helping you relieve feelings of anxiety, getting out of your head and into your body, and knowing that you can come back to this practice anytime you need, or incorporate these postures into any moment of your daily life to help reduce feelings of anxiety. Beginning to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, maybe roll out your wrists and your ankles. Just letting your body know that we are coming back into this physical present moment after the practice. Taking a big stretch on your inhale, reaching your arms overhead,
Pointing those toes, stretch, 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 and then exhale, release all of that as you roll over to one side, using your bicep as a pillow, whether you roll to your right or your left. Taking a breath here in your fetal position, and then whatever arm you're not lying on, use that hand to help push you up. And we're going to meet in a seated position, closing your eyes if they opened as you made your way up. Bringing your hands to prayer in front of your heart center, Pranam Mudra, bowing your head. The divine light in me honors the divine light in every single one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for showing up and dedicating this time to your healing, to reducing anxiety. Know that this practice helped you reduce anxiety in your body. You can come back to it at any time through this video. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is, and I'll see you soon.